Opening day is finally here. Sandy versus Skenes, a pitching matchup for the ages. And as the great Heath Ledger said while playing the Joker in The Dark Knight, and here we go.
You are Locked On Marlins, your daily podcast on the Miami Marlins.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Marlins. Happy opening day, guys. I'm your host, Jeremiah Geiger. You can hit me up on X at Jeremiah Geiger2. And thank you for making Locked On Marlins your first listen of the day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. Make sure you hit subscribe on the YouTube channel so you don't miss any episodes this season. And leave a like, leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on the Marlins, your thoughts on opening day. It is finally here. A long off season. The cold winter is over. Spring brings in new beginnings. Every single team starts out with the same record, 0-0. And every team has hope of competing. Opening day is a special time of the year. It is something that I looked forward to every single offseason, all throughout spring training. I got excited for opening day, and when it rolled around, it was must watch. And this day, of all the days, of all the games on the Marlins schedule, is probably the most anticipated game. Not only because it's opening day, but because of the fantastic pitching matchup that the Marlins and the Pittsburgh Pirates are going to have. And it's available to everybody to go to the ballpark and watch two stud pitchers live. Sandy Alcantara, Cy Young winner, Paul Skenes, maybe the best pitcher in the game, certainly one of the best young pitchers in the game, but there's not many pitchers I would take over him at this point. It's going to be an awesome outing for both of them, and I can't wait to watch it. It's going to be 4:10 Eastern time, so this episode, of course, is out for you guys in the morning. So in a few more hours while you're watching this, get ready, go to the ballpark if you can. If not, watch on TV because it's must-watch baseball. A new season. Opening day marks a new season. And for the Marlins, this season, it's all about development. It's all about finding guys who are going to step up when needed and figure out as an organization who is going to be a cornerstone and a building block moving forward. The Marlins are very young. They're one of the youngest teams in Major League Baseball. In fact, on the 40-man roster, Anthony Bender, who just turned 30 years old, is the oldest Marlins player. Let that sink in a little bit. The Marlins are young, they're inexperienced, but they're also very hungry. And a lot of these players have a chip on their shoulder and something to prove. Maybe they've been outcast from other teams. Maybe they are a prospect who is trying to prove themselves at the highest level possible. Prove that they belong. This is their opportunity to do so. A lot of first-time players making their first opening day roster, including those Javier Sanoja. Javier Sanoja, one of the best bat-to-ball contact hitters that the Marlins have had in their organization in years, is making his first opening day roster. He had an impressive spring. He's going to get a lot of playing time. Derek Hill and Dane Myers. We talked about the center field battle all spring training. Both those guys on the opening day roster. Derek Hill demolishes left-handed pitching. He's going to get his opportunity to prove himself after playing in 3 organizations last season. Now he makes an opening day roster from the get-go and is going to have a clear role as a left-handed pitching hitter. He's going to hit lefties, and that's going to get him plenty of at-bats. Dane Myers, first opening day. He unfortunately got hurt last season, but the glimpses that we've seen of him have been promising. The Great Dane is here, and he's ready to make an impact. Of course, Connor Norby, unfortunately, won't be playing in the game, the opening series, or the first few weeks due to an oblique injury, but he's another player who's making an opening day roster for the first time and who's ready to prove that he can be the Marlins' third baseman of the future, that he can be a cornerstone player that they can build around. And this rebuild doesn't have to stay stagnant for a long period of time. And then you look at the corners. You look at Jonah Bride, who broke out last season, cast off from the Athletics. Not the Oakland Athletics anymore. They're just the Athletics until they go to Las Vegas. But he's hungry. Eric Wagaman got a cup of coffee in the big leagues last year with the Angels. Comes over to Miami. He's going to be the DH. He'll get time at first base. He could get time at third base. He's versatile at the corner positions. Matt Mervis, I know you've had a rough spring, but this is your opportunity, a change of scenery in Miami to make your mark. And I haven't even mentioned Liam Hicks, who made his first opening day roster without having played above Double-A. Yes, he hasn't seen Triple-A pitching. He hasn't been at the highest level of the minor leagues, and yet is making the opening day roster, a testament to him and a surefire show of confidence that the Marlins front office and organization has in him. He's going to be ready to catch a lot of games, get plenty of at-bats, and plenty of playing time in Miami. A lot of players will be getting playing time. It's how they make the most of this playing time. And it all starts with the Marlins and the Pirates for a 4-game series. Can they start out hot? Can they surprise people? You know, the Pirates are an opponent who doesn't really stack up to the teams the Marlins are going to see in the coming weeks. They're not anything like the Dodgers or the Phillies or the Mets, the Braves, those powerhouse teams. The Pirates are just kind of there. Maybe the Marlins can go out and make a statement, and new manager Clayton McCullough can make a statement this opening series and surprise a lot of people by starting out hot. The pitching matchups for this weekend. So Thursday, opening day, I've already mentioned it's Sandy Alcantara versus Paul Skenes, one of the best pitching matchups of the entire season, in my opinion. It doesn't get much better than that. And then Friday, you have Connor Gillespie versus Mitch Keller. Saturday, Valente Bayozo, a Bailey Falter. He's 11. So, of course, expect to see the Marlins implement their platoon system going. I expect them to platoon plenty of players and play the matchup game when it comes to facing a righty or facing a lefty. So Bailey Falter is a lefty. He'll be pitching for the Pirates Saturday. And then Sunday, I think, is going to be a really fun matchup. You're going to have Max Meyer versus Andrew Heaney, who is a former Marlin, played for the Marlins a while ago. That's going to be a fun matchup and a really great opportunity to see Max Meyer crack the opening day rotation and get his first start in what hopefully is a very long and successful season for him as a pitcher. Another quick mention I want to note is Graham Pauley making the opening day roster. The door was opened when Connor Norby went down with an oblique injury, but Pauley is up, and he is somebody at 24 years old. This is an opportunity for him to kind of make himself an option for the Marlins moving forward. They're very heavily loaded at third base, first base, DH, those kind of corner infield profiles. And I mean, organizationally, they have a lot of depth on the middle infield, but at the major league level in particular, Graham Pauley has an opportunity to come up and hit. And if he hits at 24 years old, then he can stick around. He came over from the San Diego Padres, got some playing time with them last year at the big league level. Didn't work out so well, but now an unfortunate injury opens the door for him. He's going to do his best to make the most of that opportunity. Coming up next, I'm going to talk to you about the moves the last minute moves that the Marlins have made. They made a trade today. As I record this the day before opening day, but a last minute trade has happened. Going to talk to you about that and all the final moves as they piece together the opening day roster. That's coming up right after this. Baseball season is in full swing, and there's no better way to get in on the action than with PrizePicks, the daily place for daily fantasy sports. With PrizePicks, you pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, and if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, PrizePicks keeps every game exciting. Setting up a lineup takes less than 60 seconds, and when you win, your payout is quick, safe, and secure. Take advantage of Taco Tuesday, where PrizePicks offers discounts on select player projections for even more value. Download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. So download PrizePicks, use the code, set your lineup, and there you go. You're going to have it. You have a real chance to win some money when it comes to PrizePicks. Code Locked On MLB. Once again, PrizePicks, run your game. If you're an everyday listener, make sure you are sharing the podcast, please, with any and all Marlins fans moving forward. If this is your first time, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any episodes moving forward. A couple moves that we have to get into for the Miami Marlins, as we are right on the precipice of a new season, a very long season, 162 games. It is a marathon, guys. There's no doubt about it. But the Marlins did make some moves. They made a trade, actually, with the Philadelphia Phillies, acquiring pitcher Tyler Phillips from the Phillies for cash considerations. It is a move in which offers the organization plenty of depth. When it comes to pitching depth, we've talked about this before. The Marlins are thin in the rotation, especially with injuries before the season. The worst case scenario is that you're going to experience injuries in the season. So you don't want to see them scrambling around for spare parts trying to construct a rotation as the season progresses. So Tyler Phillips comes over to the Marlins. He pitched in 8 games last season. He started 7. So it wasn't anything special. It wasn't necessarily productive, but he's an interesting arm. He's a right-hander, and again, 7 starts at the big league level last year, so he has played at this level. Pitched to a 6.87 ERA, 36 innings. But what I did find that was interesting was that last season he actually pitched a complete game shutout in late July against the Cleveland Guardians. In that game, of course, he went 9 innings, only gave up 4 hits, and walked 1 while striking out 4. So he's somebody that the Marlins can stash for a spot start or slide into the rotation when they need somebody to go. If Ryan Weathers doesn't come back and the current options are either, not being productive, or they just want a change of scenery in the rotation, Tyler Phillips is a guy who provides that depth. I don't hate the move at all. In a corresponding move, in order to create room for him on the 40-man roster, they designated for assignment once again Seth Martinez. So Seth, who was acquired via waivers from the Diamondbacks, and then he was DFA'd. The Mariners got him. The Mariners didn't want him anymore, so the Marlins took him back, and now he's once again on the move. So you feel for Seth Martinez not being able to find a home just yet. But Tyler Phillips is the name that comes over from the Philadelphia Phillies. And this is the second year in a row in which the Marlins have made a last-minute deal, so to speak. Last season, Of course, trading John Birdie right before opening day. This season, they're not trading away anyone. They're getting Tyler Phillips. They're trading for additional depth. Some more news to note when it comes to these final moves that I think are interesting and that needs to be talked about. When it comes to the prospects, Josh Simpson was a guy who I felt could make the opening day roster as a left-hander. Andrew Nardi is starting the season on the 60-day injured list. Anthony Veneziano was the only left-handed pitcher healthy on the 40-man roster out of the bullpen. But it looks like the Marlins are going to roll with only Veneziano because Josh Simpson has been assigned to AAA Jacksonville to start the season. It's an interesting way of doing things. We're going to talk about the bullpen in the next segment, but just rolling in with only one left-hander isn't necessarily what I would do. It's not a move I like because you want to play matchups. And if you feel really confident in your right-handers being able to get left-handed pit batters out, especially in the later innings when the game's on the line, I guess that's why you do it. But Veneziano makes the opening day roster. Josh Simpson does not. On the position player side, we've talked about Graham Pauley making his opening day roster, his first, not his first, actually, this is his second, but he makes the roster, which wasn't expected. I don't think he makes the roster if Connor Norby is healthy. But nonetheless, he is up here. Javier Sanoja makes the roster. And the minor league assignments for this team, I talked about Adam Mazur going to Double-A as certainly being unconventional. Robbie Snelling is another guy who is starting off in Double-A this season. So he got one game in Triple-A, but he's going to start this season, at least in Double-A. I expect it to be quick. I don't expect him to stay there long. I don't expect Adam Mazur to stay in Double-A long because of how close they are to being Major League ready. Now, the Triple-A team, Augustine Ramirez will be the catcher down in Triple-A. It looks like Joe Mack could start out at Double-A. I think he goes up to Triple-A soon. Augustine Ramirez is very close to Major League ready. I don't know the timetable on how long they plan to keep him in the minor leagues, Augustine Ramirez, because right now it's interesting when you have the opening day roster set, your two catchers being Liam Hicks and Nick Fortes. Both of those players don't hold a candle to the offensive production that Augustine Ramirez has. The potential that Ramirez has completely outweighs what you have currently in Nick Fortes and Liam Hicks. Now, when you have that offensive production and questions on defense, that's what's going to keep the Marlins hesitant from him starting an opening day, from him breaking the opening day roster, because you have a premium position as like catcher. You want him to stick at catcher. You don't want to move him just at the first signs of struggles. So the development for him is a key. The Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, of course, are the AAA team for the Marlins. A lot of good pieces down there to watch for. But for the big league roster, the time being, I expect this opening day roster, it's so very young, and I think it changes over time. You're going to see prospects make their major league debut this season more often than not. Of all seasons, I mentioned how this season is a developmental season. These players who are here right now are going to get opportunities to perform. They're going to get opportunities to prove themselves. Kyle Stowers is going to get an opportunity. He made the opening day roster. He's going to get that opportunity to prove himself. But if he struggles, there are guys waiting in the wings to take those at-bats. The corner infield, the middle infield, Max Acosta, Jared Cerna, Augustine Ramirez is there. We have Joe Mack, who is on the precipice of getting consistent at bats in AAA, and then hopefully the major leagues, maybe as soon as September. Maybe he's a September call up. And then, of course, you have Griffin Conine. I want to mention him as he makes his first opening day roster. Griffin Conine is somebody who got a taste of the major leagues for about a month last year and now is in a position to be one of the more consistent Marlins power threats over a course of an entire year. That's huge. That's absolutely huge. Coming up next, I'm going to talk to you about the Marlins bullpen, dive a little bit more into the strategy that new manager Clayton McCullough is going to have to implement this season to make the late innings work. How are the Marlins going to handle late innings and relievers, and what will their role be moving forward? That's coming up right after this. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and their latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need, delivered fast from coast to coast. If you need help with an order, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Are you looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. You will love the no-shells variety. It's the perfect grab-and-go snack for busy days. Whether you're snacking at your desk, you're on a road trip, or you just need a quick protein boost, they're always a go-to. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. Wonderful Pistachios is a complete protein. It provides all 9 essential amino acids, and these little green wonders pack a protein punch. Use the no-shells Wonderful Pistachios for that grab-and-go ease, but if you like the satisfying crack of opening each shell like snack meditation, try the in-shell variety. Whether you're running between meetings or you're dropping off the kids, Wonderful Pistachios are the snack that works as hard as you do. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. A reminder, hit me up with any comments or questions for the show that you'd like to see me cover. Every Friday is the mailbag episode. So next episode will be the mailbag. Let me know your thoughts and about opening day moving forward. How did you feel about opening day? How do you feel about the roster that's currently constructed? How do you feel about the bullpen? We're going to talk about the bullpen right now. Anthony Veneziano, briefly mentioned him, will be the only Marlins left-hander out of the pen. So it's definitely a strategy that takes confidence in the rest of your right-handers. Josh Simpson, I felt, had a good spring training. He looked the part of a player that was ready to come in and contribute. Pitched in 6 games. He showcased really good strikeout stuff. I felt like there was one outing in particular. He struck out Yordan Alvarez on a breaking ball away. It was just an absolutely disgusting pitch. But nonetheless, he starts out in AAA. So the load is going to have to be carried by Anthony Veneziano. Now, when the Marlins are implementing this strategy, there's 2 things that you have to consider. One, how deep are pitchers going into games? Sandy Alcantara talked to the media today, And there's a pitch count in place. And I do believe there's going to be a pitch count in place for him moving forward, as the Marlins are going to protect him coming off of Tommy John surgery. And with the inevitable trade rumors that are circulating around, if they decide to trade him at some point this season, you're not going to want to induce any injury. Any possible signs of injury would be a disaster for this organization. So you have to protect Sandy Alcantara coming off of the injury. And behind those guys, there isn't a proven starter that has shown the ability to go deep into games, maybe except for Cal Quantrill, who is a bounce back candidate and somebody who can come in and provide innings. But what is the Marlins' strategy for doing so? I think their strategy is 5 innings, maybe 6, if you're feeling really good at a time, and then it's up to the bullpen. And the bullpen is going to be versatile in the sense that they're going to be able to go multiple innings, not just one. It's not like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when you had a left-handed specialist come in for 1 or 2 batters, get a couple outs, and then you make a pitching change. No, you have to face 3 batters minimum. There's a 3-batter minimum rule. So it automatically forces managers to employ a strategy in which they feel comfortable with a right-hander coming in a game and possibly facing a left-hander off the bench when he pinch hits or something like that. And we saw it in spring training. The Marlins relievers would go multiple innings. I think, and opening day is going to tell us a lot, depending how long Sandy goes, you're going to see the same thing. You're going to see a closer by committee and a bullpen by committee. A bullpen by committee in that you play the matchups, but you also want to see guys who give you those innings. Anthony Veneziano, yes, he's a left-hander, but he's also going to go out and attack righties. He could go 2 innings. He's not a left-handed specialist that you bring in late in the game only to face that left-hander, that Bryce Harper. It could get you into trouble because there are plenty of left-handed hitters in the National League that will crush right-handers. There are plenty of right-handers, vice versa, that will crush left-handers. But this is the strategy they're rolling with. It's a modern strategy of not necessarily focusing on the matchup and just focusing on the ability of versatility. The ability of versatility, if that makes sense. Lake Bacher, Jesus Tinoco, you have Calvin Fauché, Anthony Bender, all those guys in particular, I think you're going to have be in high leverage situations. The closer situation, you have Tinoco and Fauché, both of whom have closed games last season after the Tanner Scott trade. I still think it should be Calvin Fauché as the de facto closer. But the first week of the season is going to tell us a lot. If the Marlins find themselves in a position to win a game and it's 5-3, it's 5-4, you're entering the 9th inning, Fauché comes in one day, do you throw in Tinoco the next day, or do you stick with Fauché? Do you ride the hot hand? If Fauché struggles one day, does Tinoco become the closer for the next week? Time's going to tell. It's an exciting part of this team because this bullpen has a lot to prove. This is the next wave, I think, of pitchers that have an opportunity to prove themselves as reliable, high leverage, and flexible arms. The last couple years have been a luxury with the bullpen. In 2023, the bullpen carried this team to a playoff berth. In 2024, you had an awesome season from Tanner Scott, an awesome season from AJ Puck before they were traded at the deadline. And then in the second half of the season, the bullpen was still trying to find an identity when you take their best two relievers away. Well, now you have an entire season and you're going to have to find an identity. I do think you're going to see bullpen arms get called up soon, and you're going to see a constant change of bullpen. It's going to be very, very volatile. It's not going to be stagnant. Hey, this is the opening day bullpen. It's going to stick that way for the next 3-4 months. No. When you have arms like Josh Simpson, Josh Eknes, who can throw 100 miles an hour and just light up the radar gun, those guys are going to be pitching in Miami very soon. And on a team in which the bullpen isn't your main focal point, you want to see and identify any potential talent you have. Opening day is one of the best days of the year for a baseball fan. I hope you guys enjoy today. Sandy versus Skenes. That's going to do it for today's edition of Locked on Marlins. I thank you guys for listening. And until next time, stay safe and let's go fish.